My name is Sage Townsend, I'm 16 years old, and I'm from Lumberton, North Carolina. The war was always waging at home growing up. My parents fought constantly and separated 2 or 3 times a year. My refuge was my grandma's house, where I spent most of my time watching TV while she slaved away at the stove telling me stories. As she was cooking soul food like chicken and rice, mac and cheese, cornbread, and grits, she would always try to find a way to intertwine life lessons. Like, when she added pepper to something, she would say things like, "A little spice is good, too much will hurt the people eating. That's why I like you. Just enough spice." It was a break from the chaos going on in my house. It was a heaven to have that as my home, not just a shelter. Every day I was there, around noon, Ellen DeGeneres would come on the big prehistoric TV. I started to understand her opinions and insight into being LGBTQ as much as how my grandma disagreed with them. Even though my grandma would shake her head at some of the things Ellen said, she would still watch and enjoy. My grandma had multiple sclerosis that worsened over time, and her filter got kind of loose. She'd start saying things that she wouldn't have said before, like if we were driving down the road and we saw 2 men hug, she was quick to call them slurs. I remember one day when Ellen was talking about her wife, and my grandma said, "I can't believe someone can be lesbian. They're going to burn in hell." That was the first time I'd ever seen my loving grandma hate. The walls of my home came crashing down and I was stuck with the rubble. I bit my tongue, terrified that she would question me. I didn't want to lose the sanctity of our home. She was the only person I felt gave me a home and peace. My heavens started becoming my hell. I knew she wasn't a bad person. It was confusing and frustrating during the time I was trying to come out because I wanted to make her happy, but I had to be happy too. I felt like I was alone. As years passed, I started distancing myself. I began physically changing in 9th grade. I traded my dresses for button-ups. I felt that since I wasn't dependent on her anymore, I could take this chance. When I finally cut my hair, Grandma got suspicious but never really confronted me about it. She was more passive than anything else. After the big chop, my mom and I moved to here, Louisville, Kentucky. I was so happy for a fresh start. I was going somewhere no one knew my name, who I am, or anything about me. I visited my grandma after a school year full of personal changes. I remember walking into her house, the smell of her food hitting my nose, some daytime talk show greeting me at the front door, and a sense of new beginnings. When she came from the kitchen, I looked the same, aside from the hair, but I knew I was a stranger to her. I knew inside that I was a completely different person than what she was seeing. She just knew me as her grandkid and not me. I had changed so much in Louisville, and she didn't know who I had become. It was empowering and terrifying. What if she finds out? She passed away last December. When I went back to North Carolina to visit my dad again for Christmas last year, we reminisced about her.
I remember the first time I told her and my father about your being trans.
I didn't know you told them.
Yeah, I told them. I remember my dad was very, this is a phase, she's sure. And my grandma was always like, well, it doesn't matter, she's still our grandchild. We still love her.
You can probably tell that my dad doesn't always get it right, but he tries at least. So I guess she did know. If I had known, maybe our relationship would have been better, and that's what stings. I was scared of getting attached in case I lost her because of my identity. I would have taken that step and had that closure if I had known. I always caught myself looking for closure, for an ending, but never in the right places. Be honest with yourself, the people around you, and most importantly the people you love, and you'll be so much happier.